Hi everyone, welcome to Open Source Tonight. Today I wanted to show you all how to install as well as kind of just play around a little bit with Linux Mint, the latest Debian edition install. So, for a little bit of context, I've been having a few weird issues with Ubuntu lately. I'm not really sure what's going on with it. Anyway, I'm thinking maybe I might try out Linux Mint Debian edition. I like GNOME as a desktop, but I don't know. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, I wanted to give it a test run, and it seems like it's becoming more and more popular. I've seen several Linux YouTubers I watch recently talk about it. So I think it's time to check it out. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've got a virtual machine here of Linux Mint Debian edition. And if we actually start the installer up, the first thing I have to comment on is how pretty the installer is. I mean, look at that. That's a beautiful user interface. I just like it, okay? That's great. So let's hit let's go. And let's go ahead and say, yeah, I'm in the United States. And it is currently 11:30. I am on Eastern Time. It's got the right keyboard layout. So most of the stuff's pretty similar. And then I'm going to put in my name here. We're going to just say that my name is Vincent Maggard. Y'all might know that. And then we're just going to call this there. Let me guess, I put a space at the beginning, didn't I? It wasn't a space? Oh, space right there. So I just figured I'd go ahead and call it something silly today. And I'll put my standard username in. I'll put in an unsecure password because I don't care, it's a virtual machine. And I'm not going to encrypt the home drive, and I'm going to require the password login. Why not? And then we're going to say automatic partitioning is fine with me. So I'm going to select a disk. There it is. Yeah, I already had a VM in that. So that's fine. I'm going to say that's fine too. All right, and we're going to say put grub over here on SDA. And here's a little summary screen. I actually have to say the summary screen is pretty cool looking. So I like the summary screen. What can I say? It seems like it's pretty cool stuff. So we're going to go ahead and hit install. And here it goes. So one of the things I actually thought was pretty interesting is just how quick that it does an install. So if we sit here and we watch it for a minute, you can see there it goes. It's going like 100 miles an hour all of a sudden in the background there. And, you know, that's the thing. I mean, tell me that isn't pretty interesting that it can do that. I think it's pretty interesting. You tell me what you all think in the comments. But anyway, we will return in a moment, directly following the completion of the install. All right, folks. Well, while we waited for just a few minutes, the installer completed its job. And so as we can see here, the installation is now complete. Do you want to restart the computer to use the new system? I'm going to go ahead and hit yes, and let's watch it reboot. This virtual machine has a decent amount of storage in it. Okay. Or not storage, but RAM. It's got 4 gigs. And now let me go back up here, and I'm going to go full screen on this thing. There we go. And now we can watch it boot up. And here it comes. Right about... Come on, anytime now, Linux Mint. This is running off an SSD, so the install process definitely was sped up by the fact it was on an SSD. And here it goes. Looks like we got a mouse. Okay, and we got a login screen. So I'm gonna log in, and let's see what happens now. And we're on the desktop, just like that. And yeah, we're not gonna worry about the video drivers. It's a VM. It's not gonna look that good anyway. So I'm gonna uncheck this because I don't want it every time. But let's look. First steps. So we can select the panelette. So if I hit traditional, yeah, this kind of reminds me of like an older Windows system. In fact, actually, before we continue, let me go ahead and fix the resolution here. Doesn't that just look better? Anyway, but that's traditional right here. I kind of like modern better, honestly, but both, I suppose, have their charm. I guess that check video drivers thing's going to come up every time I change anything. So it looks like we can change our colors. Our desktop colors, so that's like, okay. I kind of like this blue. And this is like, yeah, oh, a dark theme. Oh, now we're talking. So green with the dark, that's pretty nice. But I think we're going to go with blue. So it gives us information about different things, how to contribute. We'll close out of that. So I want to check out some of the other things in the system. Let's see what the kernel is that it's shipping. There we go. Took you a second to get the terminal up, didn't it? And I'm going to make this a little bigger. For those of you on lower resolution devices, and let's go uname-r, and we have a kernel of 5.10.0 revision 12 AMD64 for the architecture. Makes total sense. That's what it should be. And the terminal emulator, so far I'm kind of liking it. It doesn't seem too bad. Let's see here. Yeah, that's what I figured. It's GNOME terminal, and it is. Not even based on it. Literally, they're just shipping GNOME terminal exactly. So it looks pretty good. If we look at, I'm guessing that HTOP isn't installed, but let's look. Yeah, it is not. But top, I'm guessing, probably is. The older tool that's less pretty looking. Yeah, it is. So, you know, let's actually install HTOP. See how easy it is to install something in here. And here we go. I'm going to put in my password. I like the fact that auto sets up sudo for you, because Debian doesn't do that by default. So again, it's kind of removing some of the complexity, if you will, of a base Debian system. I can get around those, but honestly, it's kind of a pain. So make my life easy so I don't have to, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and let's look at different settings in here. Yeah, so I mean, it looks like it's just GNOME terminal to me. Anyway, we got HTOP, so let's install it. Or not install it, let's run it. Oh yeah, there we go. So we're using not even a gig of RAM. I like that about this. This is definitely lightweight compared to some of the heavier stuff. I mean, GNOME, for example, I find uses closer to a gig than this. Only a couple hundred megs more usually, but as a base, but that's still something. That's still something. All right. Anyway, but there we go. That's interesting. So it works. Let's see if we close this. What does it do? Do we get an animation? It just cuts out of it. All right. That's fine. I thought it would do an animation, but I'm not exactly an expert on this kind of stuff. Let's see here. We can look around. Here's Synaptic Package Manager. So let's open that up, see what that looks like in the system. And let's go ahead and make this a little bigger. Well, there we go. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it looks like that we could install stuff. So if we wanted to say install Abbey Word, I can mark it for installation. Let's just see how quick we can install something on it. I want to get a kind of an idea of what the experience is like. I'm going to hit apply. All right, I'm going to say apply again, and here it goes. So it seems to be that the repos it's pulling from are pretty fast, and it's done. So Abbey Word is up. I do have somewhat decent internet too. A lot better than I used to, so that helps too, I'm sure. Abbey Word works. Awesome. So just like that, it opens almost instantly. Which version has been shipped? I'm guessing it's an older version. Yeah, copyright date's 2012, so I'm going to say it's probably an older version. But hey, it's still cool. That's an odd thing. Look at that. We have a white mouse cursor, and then we go over and hover over the link, and now it's a black mouse cursor. Mouse cursor. I don't like that. Like, it should be one or the other at all times, if you ask me. But not the end of the world. Just kind of a bit of a pet peeve of mine. I just like everything to look real pretty at all times. And so speaking of that, what if we went into the system, and let's see if we can actually, probably preferences. I want to see if there's actually a screen to, I have played with it a little bit. I want to say I did see a thing in there to actually change what the mouse cursor looks like. Themes, I think, was what it was. And so, yeah, here's our theming. So I'm going to go under here. I actually don't mind a black cursor all the time. And so now that I've switched to that, let's try Abbey Word again and see if we hover over that same link, if we get the better experience. Awesome. Now our cursor matches 100% of the time. So for those of you like me that are very picky, you have options, everyone. You have options. Isn't that wonderful? Options is nice. All right. So look at Firefox. I want to see how quick that opens. And yeah, it opens pretty quick. Nice. And it closes real good. Let's look at the file manager. I admit I don't know that much about the file manager in Linux Mint, even though I have played with it a little bit more. Oh, show the desktop. This is the file manager. Okay. Those look kind of similar. Anyway, so this is the file manager. We might want to make that a little bigger again for the same reason as everything else. But let's see. So this is the file manager. It's a brand new install, so there's really nothing on here. But if we was to right click, yeah, okay. So I get an options menu, and it looks like, yeah, I can create new folders, new documents. I can open in a terminal. I can open as root, which I'm assuming is a root level terminal. Let's try it out. Oh, the actual GUI is as root. Okay, I actually think that could be kind of useful. That's nice. Okay, let's see. And open a regular terminal. Well, yeah, definitely open a terminal. Desktop's empty, documents is empty, music's empty, photos, videos. And if we right click, can I show hidden files? Yep. So I could actually do that. So nice. The cinnamon folder is where it stores its stuff, I'm guessing. Configs. Okay, I'm really not sure what any of these. Oh, here we go, a JSON file. Cool. Okay. Not really sure what I'm looking at, but hey. I'm looking at something, okay? I'm looking at something. So anyway, let's go ahead and try something else. So it ships with LibreOffice. That's nice. Let's try opening it and see how quick it is. Again, yeah, the system feels really responsive. That's one of the things I'm really noticing here. Is it's just so responsive. LibreOffice version they're shipping is 7.0.4.2. Works for me. So that's interesting. So web apps. Okay. It's like this is like let's try building a web app here. Link to vincentmager.com, for example. Okay, vincentmager.com. Let's use the default icon. Sure, hit OK. Now if I go under Internet, vincentmager.com. If I click it, what does it do? Ah, nice. That's actually pretty useful. I can see that making a lot of sense. And if I click around, yeah, everything's pretty responsive. I mean, it literally is Firefox. And if I close it, it just, okay. So these days, we live in a world of web stuff. I suppose that's not a bad strategy to have something like that for us that are using web apps on a regular basis. What else is there we can look at here? Sound and video, install multimedia codec. So this is something that would, okay, apparently you use this to install the codec. So if I watch it do it here, yeah, it looks like it's trying to go and grab the stuff. And I do see it's pulling from a Linux Mint own repo for some stuff and the Bullseye Debian repo and security repos for others. Interesting. Some of these downloads look to be kind of slow. Oh, wait. I think it just finished. Okay, now it's asking me for my password again. Okay. And now it's, there we go. Now it's actually installing everything. Probably about the time I get this resized to be a little bigger. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to do it and then it closed. So that's interesting. It doesn't even tell you it's done. It just finishes. But that's cool. So now we have that. I'm going to actually uninstall this. Oh, okay. That's actually interesting. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and remove it. And now if I go back to Internet, yeah, you can see it's gone. Cool. So it seems like that it's a pretty good system. Oh, and here comes our updates manager. Let's look at updates. You all that are familiar with Linux Mint a lot more is going to be like, he's such a noob. He knows nothing about this. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm working on it, everybody. I'm not a Linux Mint expert, but that's part of the fun, right? You get to point at the screen and think I'm silly for not knowing what I'm doing. So let's see here. A new version of the update manager is available. Apply the update. Sure, let's apply the update. See how that experience is. Again, you're kind of coming along with the ride for me if you've not really used Debian much, or Linux Mint Debian Edition much, because I haven't. All right. And that's kind of a pet peeve. I wish it would have stayed where I resized it, but we'll just fix that. So it looks like we got a bunch of updates to the system. I'm going to just say and install updates and hit OK. Normally I wouldn't do this through the GUI, but today I'm going to do it through the GUI to see what somebody that maybe would prefer Linux Mint might prefer. Because I get the impression Linux Mint, a lot of their users might prefer to stay out of the terminal when possible. And considering it's apt, and I'm already familiar with apt anyway, where it's Debian, I'm pretty familiar with apt anyway, so this is kind of pushing me out of my comfort zone because I haven't played with this tool nearly as much. But so far, I'm actually saying, I'm telling you folks, it actually seems pretty nice. Y'all might want to download it and install it in a virtual machine yourself, check it out, because it doesn't actually seem to be that bad. And actually, interestingly enough, it's got an update to what looks to be LibreOffice, among other things. So I guess that version of LibreOffice didn't really matter. They've already updated. Probably just a security update or a bug fix or something like that. But who knows? Might be a total revision. I doubt it, because pretty sure that this is like regular Debian, where it's going to only ship things that are like minor updates. It's not going to ship like complete like feature updates, which I have no problem with. But if you want something that's bleeding edge update to the latest and greatest, this isn't really the system for you. But I don't want that. I want my system to be stable, and I have no problem using something that's not state of the art to do that. You know, if it's a year or two older version of the software with security patches, I'm fine with that. So, you know, anyway, while it's doing that in the background, let's go ahead and let's see what else it can. Actually, why don't we look at the updates, see how much system usage it's using. And I think I've seen system monitor. Yeah, this is probably what I think it is. Yep. Okay, so this looks to be the GNOME one. I'm pretty sure I played with this the other day, actually, when I installed this the first time. But that's our CPU and RAM usage and all that. And right now, we're looking at 1.3 gigs of RAM out of 4, so about 34% used. And we got 4 CPU cores, and you can see their graphs just going by there. So, you know, not too bad of a system. I do see we're swapping a little bit, about a meg now. You know, not too bad. And we'll come back to this, and you can see it's still running. So clearly it's doing a lot of CPU work to do these updates, which makes sense. And let's go ahead and look at some other settings. What about printer settings? Can we set up a printer in here relatively easily? Yeah, this kind of looks like a tool I've used before, actually. System cups configuration tool. Okay, yeah, this is something I have used before. But it looks like we could add, well, we'll have to unlock it first, won't we? Okay. And add a printer. I don't have to have a printer handy right now, so we just have to pretend. But yeah, we could like go network printer, we could go all kinds of different stuff. So that makes sense. So I'm going to close that out. Let's look around and see what else we can adjust. Firewall configuration, that's interesting. So looks like Linux Mint you can have a firewall on it. So it's pre-installed. Oh, I'm pretty sure I recognize this. Isn't this the one Ubuntu ships by default? Yep, here we go. UFW. And I'm trying to remember what that stands for. Uncomplicated firewall, I think. Let's see here. So, I was trying to see if the about thing would tell me anything, but it doesn't seem to. But anyway, there we go. That's pretty cool. So I can actually look, and this is nice. I haven't used this in a while. It actually gives me reports, so you can see we've got an IP address. We've got all our ports and rules. Pretty cool. All right, anyway, yeah, so Linux Mint does seem pretty interesting. I'm trying to find something else here that might interest you all. Let's see here. Backup tool, let's look at that. So, let's see, backup now, backups, forward. Huh, okay. Looks like it's like the computer network went out for a second. You've seen that up there. Let's see. Select a grub device. But anyway, it looks like it's almost done installing, and once it gets done, we'll have the updates in place and everything. But I have to say, it seems like it's a pretty interesting system. You know, I'm trying to think of if there's anything else. I mean, we got time shift. I've seen some YouTubers I watch talk about this before. rsync, and then this other thing I don't actually know exactly what it is. So here we go. So wizard. Oh, that's where I was just at. Okay. How do I get out of it? Okay, there we go. So create all this makes sense. Let's see here. Create, so I could go estimating system size. While it's doing that, let's come back here. You have installed updates that require the system to reboot. So, okay. So I'm going to have to reboot in a minute to get those updates to apply. And oh, it's actually creating a snapshot. Okay, that's not what I meant to do. Cancel. I just wanted to see what the process was like. I didn't want to actually do it. So we can change location, we can schedule it. Okay, users, filters, the date format. Cool. About, yep, cool. So folks, in conclusion, I think Linux Mint Debian Edition is actually pretty nice. For those that don't know, I didn't think to say it until now, but this is with the Cinnamon desktop. I'm assuming some people already figured that out, but just in case that they didn't, I apologize. I should have said it earlier, but I think it's actually a pretty nice desktop and OS. It doesn't seem too bad at all, actually. And I could see myself putting this on a laptop or a friend's system for them. I don't know if I would really use it because the Cinnamon desktop reminds me a lot more of the Windows kind of workflow, and I personally like the GNOME workflow that to me feels kind of like a little bit like Mac, but a little bit of its own thing. And I'm just so used to being able to do like keyboard shortcuts and such with it. So yeah, probably not going to be switching anytime soon to Linux Mint Debian Edition. Personally, I don't think, just because I don't know if I can get used to the keyboard shortcuts and stuff. Where I'm already used to GNOME. But you all may want to check it out. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Thanks for watching Open Sourcing, everybody. Hope you all enjoy the video, and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye, everybody.
And action.